woodland at the top and the field growing areas in the middle and the shores and seafood at the bottom. So every farm had the whole integration of plant and animal life in its food supply, and there was no competition, and it was natural. It preserved nature rather than fighting against it. And then, of course, when the Europeans and Americans discovered the Sandwich Islands, as they called them, they rearranged everything. They filled in the fish ponds that they were growing, fish that were controllable in, but with access to ocean water. And they paved over things, and they redrew the boundaries and just made a complete mess of the way we humans live here. And there are not more people today in these islands than there were when Captain Cook first set shore here. And we were sustainable, and now we're importing 80% of our food, 90% of our energy, when we could be making all that locally. So islands are a great example of how a living economy should be working, how they were in the past working, and what we can restore of those ancient ways of cooperating with nature as well as with each other.
And so we're down to our last 2 minutes. Is there anything else you'd like to say? I know we didn't really talk much about your book, so
yes. The easiest read and the most up-to-date is Gaia's Dance, The Story of Earth and Us. I thought of it as kind of a grown-up, a children's book for grown-ups. It's not a children's book easy to read, but it's easier than my Earth Dance, which is the more complete book. I also have a delightful comic book for iPhones called Bacteria Are Us, with the backwards R of Toys R Us, which had just been closed down when I was working with a wonderful cartoonist to make this little iPhone thing that showed us evolution in something like 40 different comic book pages to really see how we're made of the ancient bacteria and why cooperation is good for us.
Yeah, cooperation is good for us. So I thank you so much for your time, and so I'd love this. Again, I'm going to go back to the beginning about ending the new food wars. It's not about fighting, but finding these places where we can come together and all agree that our food choices affect the planet. Factory farming is wrong, and we need to be aware of future generations and our choices and being sustainable and creating a world that we want our great-great-grandchildren to live in. So I thank you so much, Elizabeth Santoris, for joining us. And your website is?
Is Santoris.com. It's a bit outdated, but I can be reached through it, and there's a lot of free stuff on it.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us.
You're very welcome, Laura, and big aloha to everyone.
Aloha. Aloha.
Hey, Minnesota, I'm Rick Smith, host of The Rick Smith Show, and I want to hear from you. Call in, be heard at 1-866-416-RICK. That's 1-866-416-7425 as we focus on the issues most important to working America. The Rick Smith Show, where working people come to talk. Weeknights, 8 to 10 p.m. right here on AM 950 KTNF, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
Hey, Cudahy, this is Robert Pilot of Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake. On our show, we talk about Native issues like treaties, protecting Mother Earth, and holding our elected officials accountable. Weekly correspondents like Dr. Stately, State Senator Mary Kunesh, Robert Lilligren, and Bob Blake update us with Native news that you won't hear anywhere else. Native issues are human issues, and human issues are Native issues. Listen weeknights from 6 to 7 p.m. on AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
Your radio station for the resistance, The David Pakman Show, weekdays at 2 p.m. on AM 950 KTNF, St. Louis Park, Minneapolis, St. Paul, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
For the Daily Yonder and Public News Service, this is the news from rural America. Rural areas looking for an economic boost can apply for federal money through the new CHIPS and Science Act. Beyond assistance to the semiconductor industry, One part, the Recompete program, helps towns and counties apply for 10-year block grants to invest in whatever challenges they see in their own community. Matt Hildreth is with ruralorganizing.org.
So it targets funds to small towns and rural communities that are economically distressed and ensures that they have a shot at getting access to those federal funds as well.
Ted Bettner at the Ohio River Valley Institute says Greene County, Pennsylvania, where 1/3 of the working age population is unemployed, is just one community that could benefit.
And it could be, in the tens of millions of dollars to help revitalize the county's economy.
Often called the country's favorite pastime, American baseball is growing increasingly international, from the Major League World Series to the Little League Championships. Anya Slepian has more.
This season, nearly 30% of all Major League Baseball players hail from 21 different countries and territories. The tiny island nation of Curacao has contributed more Major League players per capita than any other country. With a population of only 155,000 people, the head of Curaçao's Baseball Federation says the success of these Major League players keeps the dream alive for young Curaçaoans. Here's Jedrek Magdalena.
Having all those guys in the MLB that you actually see on a daily basis during their offseason. So for the kids, it's a dream that's really within touch.
This August, Curaçao made it to the finals of the Little League World Series for the third time before losing to Hawaii. Magdalena is proud of his team's accomplishments, especially considering the disparities in the two teams' resources.
I just think it's remarkable how much we achieved without having the financials and without having all the facilities.
I'm Anya Slepian.
A novel mentorship program at Texas State University is focused on helping college-bound Black and Latino women pursue a career in agriculture. That demographic is underrepresented in ag, both as degree recipients and in the workforce. Similar to other initiatives to bring women into science and technical fields, professor and program leader Merritt Drury says the intent is to help young Black and Latino women see themselves differently.
They don't identify as a science person. They don't think others view them as a scientist. And that breaks down their confidence and their willingness to engage.
Funded by the USDA, the program uses near-peer mentorship, pairing high school students with those in college to create more excitement about studying agriculture. For the Daily Yonder and Public News Service, I'm Roz Brown. For more rural stories, visit dailyyonder.com.
Next time on Philosophy Talk, the life and thought of Martin Heidegger.
Heidegger's Being and Time is widely considered a philosophical masterpiece.
Masterpiece? Maybe. Master pain to read? Definitely.
Well, he's dealing with deep, hard issues.
Yeah, but does he have to use such impenetrable language like being in the world and thrown a head nut?
You got a point there.
Martin Heidegger, next time on Philosophy Talk.
Philosophy Talk, every Sunday at 8 a.m. on AM 950.
Next Chapter Booksellers has lots of new books in stock just in time for fall. And while we're sad to see summer go, the colder weather does make better reading weather, so stop by the store off Snelling and Grand in St. Paul. Browse the shelves, or if you're not sure what to get, ask a friendly bookseller. We're great at making recommendations no matter your taste. Next Chapter Booksellers also has a wide variety of puzzles, games, and even some early holiday shopping gift ideas. That's the independently owned Next Chapter Booksellers in St. Paul.
Electricity costs have hit historic highs, and they're likely to continue rising with no end in sight. If you own a business, those are costs that are eating away at your bottom line. But switching to All Energy Solar can help you see green instead of red. A system from All Energy Solar offers a bankable investment with energy costs that won't rise along with fossil fuels. So stop renting your energy from the utility company, because the rent keeps going up. Solar tax incentives are strong, returning up to 60% of your investment. But those credits will decrease in 2023. And with more businesses switching to solar, capacity is limited. That's why reserving your spot on the grid now has never been more critical. All Energy Solar has the experience of installing over 6,000 systems for all sorts of properties in the Midwest and beyond. Get a free no-obligation assessment from All Energy Solar's commercial solar specialists today by calling 800-620-3370 or visiting allenergysolar.com.
Is your remote workforce putting your company at risk? Cyber criminals are targeting your employees with COVID-19 inspired emails and attacking businesses like yours. Hi, Mark Sommerfeld from Rymark. Rymark has the tools and expertise to enable your employees to work securely from home. If you need help getting your staff to work remotely and securely, call 651-328-8900 or go to rymarkit.com. That's 651-328-8900 or rymarkit.com.
Life after military service is different. Many veterans find transitioning difficult, feeling lost and uncertain about the future. These feelings don't take away from a veteran's strength, courage, or sense of duty. If you're a veteran in crisis or know one who is, the power of one person, one connection, one act of compassion can make a difference. For free 24/7 confidential support, call the Veterans Crisis Line at 1-800-273-8255 and press 1 or visit veteranscrisisline.net.
Portions of the following program may be pre-recorded.
Good morning, and welcome to Connections Radio Show, where we talk about ideas that matter. I'm glad you've made the connection and are with us today. I'm Laurie Fitz, your host, and the goal of our show is to explore a wide range of topics that challenge us to see ourselves, our community, and the world around us in ways that get us thinking, get us talking, get us imagining, get us wondering, get us exploring and having a really good conversation, and perhaps inspired or challenged to do just a bit more because we've made the connection. So our topic today is friendships and choice as seen through the production of Merrily We Roll Along at Theater La Di Da. Hosting with me today is Rick Bernardo, who went to the show. The show is an innovative musical about a group of friends, and it spans 3 decades. It spools backwards from their present-day lives at the optimistic beginning of their relationship. And it's a classic that blends the excitement and humor of backstage musical with the poignancy of regrets and reconciliations, and featuring some of Stephen Sondheim's best songs, Not a Day Goes By and Our Time. I also want to mention the music and lyrics are by Stephen Sondheim, book by George Firth, orchestrations by Jonathan Tunick. The musical is directed by Peter Rostein, and musical direction is by Jason Hansen. And Theater La Di Da is grateful for the generosity of the production sponsors, both Kent Allen and Tim Nabble. Thank you.
Yay.
So with that, you like the play?
I did.
Musical.
I was still saying yay about the play and everything you were saying.
Oh, good.
Yes.
What did you think of it?
By the way, this is Rick, and so I'm still Rick. I say that to people sometimes. I'm still resonating with like time warp kind of a fever. It's like I'm fascinated by the whole device of whether things evolve or devolve, because this it's no secret, I don't think, it works backwards in time. And so you kind of get to check in on how things developed, but in a way that actually, it just occurred to me right now, that's how our memories work. We always are remembering backward in this moment. And
it's hard to remember the future.
I've done that though, but it's very confusing. It's science fiction all over the place.
but cool
Yes.
to do.
Yes.
Well, we've got 2 wonderful actors that are joining us in this segment. We have Reese Britz and Becca Hart. Reese plays Franklin. Becca plays Mary. And we talked about this being a show about friendship and choices. And some of that was set in motion by Reese. So I'm going to kick it off to Reese. And then I know you have some follow-up questions after Reese shares a little bit tell us about your thoughts on how this gets kicked off.
Yeah. So again, my name is Reese, and I play Franklin Shepard, who is the guy that this story is all about. Really, but
and I think we'll hear from each actor a similar feeling about what the show is all about.
Yeah. But it's a story about Franklin Shepard, Mary Flynn, and Charlie Kringus. These 3 friends that, at the end of the play, which is actually the beginning of their journey together, which is a little confusing for some people, but they make a promise that it is our time and we're the movers, we're the shapers, we're the names in tomorrow's papers to hold on to their ambitions and their dreams and to move forward and achieve those goals. But when the play starts, it's actually 1976. And I'm not spoiling anything, just to let you know. But Franklin has become a producer of movies and big time Hollywood producer. And at this party, Mary Flynn is there, but Charlie Kringus is not. We don't get to meet Charlie until the second scene. And even though this show is about these three friendships, it's really about how Franklin's decisions have impacted his life around him and his relationships with his friends.
Awesome. Yeah. What he said. Thanks. That's Reese Britt. He was there. He was. Yeah.
The full 2.5 hours.
And so, that was, it didn't seem like that long. So that's a good thing, for a performance. It just zoomed by. And we've got also Becca Hart, who plays the character Mary that is in that first scene.
She is.
Yeah. And I'm sad right away when I meet you in the performance, because there's something wistful going on. It seemed anyway. But you tell me more about your character and how that went.
Great, thank you. Hi, my name is Becca Hart. I play Mary Flynn, and she is a friend to the man who the story is about. And
but there, you may have a feeling that the play is really about Mary as well, right?
It really is.
Well, I don't know about that. I feel like every actor is telling their own story, but it's a play. Really, truly, it's Franklin at the center of it, but the three of them, Mary, Charlie, and Frank, really just affect each other in so many ways, both with their choices and with their absence of choices, the passivity. And so it's been really fascinating to wind that story backwards, and you're both kind of weaving the tapestry and unweaving the tapestry at the same time for the audience.
Weaving and unweaving. Those are good words to hang on to, because there's a lot of that going on here. What for your character? You've been Mary for a while now. What struck you, or what was a challenge in how that went for developing that?
I love Mary. I love her so much. I spent a lot of time with the script, both before and then during table work when we first started rehearsals, just tracking where, honestly, the levels of heartbreak. Like, how many little balloons of hope does she have in this scene? Oh no, that one was popped in the last scene. Oh, how about this scene? Oh no, those 4 balloons have popped already. Tracking all of those. And I remember chatting with a friend about her before we started rehearsal process, and I was like, I'm kind of like nervous, I'm kind of scared. And she was like, well, what does Mary love? And that's been such like a thing that we've all kind of talked about, is instead of playing the heartbreak, you're playing the love and the hope that these friendships are going to work out. And that's why it's so devastating when they don't.
Yeah, just sticking with that. Got it.
Reese, how about you? When you're working through this character and making discoveries, what were some of the discoveries you made?
Yeah, some of the discoveries I made when I first read through the play, the musical, I was like, wow, Franklin Shepard is not a great human being at all. He makes horrible decisions and blames everyone else. He is a stone cold narcissist. And what I discovered throughout it is, well, I played villains on paper before. And the thing about villains is they don't know that they're being the villain. And they think that they are just in their actions and in their choices. And so finding those moments of oh, okay, so he thinks that this person persuaded him, so I have to bring that out. And even though I know that that's not what's happening, he thinks that he's being manipulated. And so I need to dive into that and that feeling of manipulation, of where his life is going and the people that are influencing his choices.
That was clear. Yeah. Everybody has their own world, and you kind of have to create that for that character.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And even though I see that he is in the wrong completely, with many of his choices and disregarding his friends in that sense and leaving them in the dust, I also understand that he needed to do that during this time.
That's a great exercise in empathy, actually, to be able to do that.
I have a question for you that just came to me, and it's going to mean that I'm going to go over our time limit in segment 1. But what strikes me is that when you are getting in touch with a character that's a narcissist, that may not understand the things around him, sometimes we fight that also in looking at equity, diversity, and inclusion, and helping folks to understand. Sometimes it can be challenging to help a person have more empathy and to understand what that means. I know that's something that you feel very passionate about. So share with me about that and that experience.
I am very involved in equity, diversity, and inclusion, especially in this Minneapolis, Twin Cities theater community. The hardest part is for anyone talking about these kind of issues is letting go of your ego and your pride and understand when you have hurt someone, which like speaking of narcissism, that is a hard thing, but that is a term that I don't want to use when we're talking about this. It's pride.
Right.
And a lot of people
and fear.
Yes. Fear for the unknown and the understanding.
And change. People have a hard time with change. What does this mean? How does that impact me?
Yeah. We as human beings are taught to fear the things that we don't understand. And that is something we see in our everyday society. If there's something that we do not like or makes us uncomfortable, we automatically shut it out. And we try not to understand it because that's not how we were raised or how we perceive the world. So obviously I'm right and they're wrong. But the point with equity, diversity, but the point with equity, diversity, and inclusion is the main thing, I think, is to take ownership of your actions, to take ownership of your life, really, and how you grew up, so that you can move forward and create equitable spaces around you, and also really listen to the underrepresented groups and hear them, what they are saying, and try your hardest to do whatever you can just to make them included and at your level. Yeah, it's not about putting anyone up to like tear yourself down. Right. It's about bringing them all together, like holding their hand and bringing them up.
What I'm fascinated with is encouraging the audience to go see this play and knowing that in their heart is something that you feel very strongly about, and then seeing your character unfold on stage. I think it would be a magnificent opportunity for folks just to be thinking about it. And again, this is our show's about a show about ideas and making connections. And I think that's a vital connection to be thinking about. We have to go to break, even though we will merrily roll along later. And that is the name of the musical that you want to see at Lattida. I'm going to spell out Lattida for you, LATTEDA.org. You can buy your tickets. You can see more about the show. Again, Lattida.org. Go check it out. Go see the show. We'll be back in the next segment, and we're going to continue this fascinating conversation.
We will.
Hi, I'm Mary T. of the Mary T. family of companies. Our new Camellia Rose Assisted Living and Memory Care is a bold reimagining of what assisted living can be. Our emphasis is on creative meals, outdoor walking paths, and a spectrum of restorative therapies and activities. We are founded on a history of care. We are dedicated to enriching lives. Learn more about Camellia Rose Assisted Living and Memory Care by visiting marytinc.com.
It's an absolute must for any true foodie. Vinaigrette at 50th and Xerxes in South Minneapolis offers premium oils and vinegars for the most discriminating of tastes. This is Sarah Piepenberg, owner of Vinaigrette. We bottle on-site, there's no guesswork, and you get to taste test each and every oil and vinegar we offer. Our direct relationship with the growers ensures an uncompromised level of satisfaction. When you need to know you're cooking with the finest ingredients, first contact the independently owned Vinaigrette, 50th and Xerxes in South Minneapolis. Online at vinaigrettemn.com.
Hi, this is Paul Metza inviting you to listen to the Wall of Power Radio Hour. We have been on the air on AM 950 for over 5 years, over 200 original shows in the can, including musicians, artists, promoters, authors, comedians, and more. We're on the air Saturdays at 6 p.m. If you'd like to advertise, get a hold of us at am950radio.com. And stay tuned this weekend, Wall of Power Radio Hour.
Hi, Matt McNeil for Rudy Luther Toyota. You know, I've purchased my vehicles with Rudy Luther because I love my Toyota Sienna, but it's the extra things that make me a loyal Rudy Luther customer. A great example, the Luther Advantage Card. With every new and used vehicle purchase, you'll get 3 years of 10 cents off per gallon of gas at holiday station stores and $6 off the Works car washes. Plus, there are other great benefits too. The Luther Advantage Card keeps you happy in your Rudy Luther vehicle. Find out more at Rudy Luther Toyota, 394 and 169 in Golden Valley.
Habitation presents a radio drama. To buy or not to buy, that is the question. Whether 'tis nobler to compromise and live with a sectional that doth not fit my space, or to take up arms against a sea of mediocrity, and by opposing it, to rest, to be comfortable, to enjoy the space that is my home. Hi, this is Gregory Rich, owner of Habitation Design and host of Drink in the Style. I'd like to personally invite you to our new showroom located in the District at Edina, 7777 Washington Avenue South. Habitation, put some drama into your interior design.
Welcome back to Connections Radio Show, where we talk about ideas that matter, and we're talking about friendship, choices, and much, much more. As we explore the play Merrily We Roll Along, it is a play that when it first came out did not, get great reviews and great support, but it's become sort of a cult classic over the years, where there's a lot of devoted people that adore the show. It spans 3 decades. It starts out and moves backwards. And then there's a lot of great humor and challenges and choices, and there's regrets that are made, reconciliation, and then songs like Not a Day Goes By and Our Time. To explore this, we've got great actors who are here to talk about their characters, talk about what the show means to them. In the last segment, we had a chance to talk with 2 terrific people. We have Reese Britz and Becca Hart in the first segment, and Reese will be back. But in this segment, we have another character that is joining us. We continue to talk with Becca Hart and her relationship to the role Mary. And we'll get to know Dylan Frederick, who plays the role of Charlie. And in this one, we're going to continue on the choices, lack of choices, agency, a little bit about your character and background and who you are. So welcome, Becca and Dylan.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And I have our wonderful host with me today, Rick Bernardo, who actually saw the show.
I'm famous for that.
You're famous for that. We have these shows. The show goes back in decades.
It does.
Tell me about that.
70s, 60s, a touch of 50s. And for me, so everybody, it's not breaking... what do they call it? It's not a spoiler necessarily to say there's news during the segments of the phases of the production that lets you know where you are. There's a big a flashing sign saying this is the year, but at the same time it takes you back through some things that were happening during those years, and that really was effective in placing you, rooting you, even if you weren't alive then. It creates a history that you might not have known about, and it really resonates into the present. And so, and Dylan and Becca
are both here to talk about.
Yeah,
Dylan, thank you so much for joining us today. I understand you're coming back from New York to be here for us, so we appreciate that. Even though you grew up and you hail from our Twin Cities.
Yes, I do. I grew up here. I grew up doing theater in this community. This is where I learned to love theater and how to act. And I wrote plays here. Did my very first play I wrote in the Minnesota Fringe Festival.
Oh, I love the Fringe.
And grew up taking classes at the Children's Theater and seeing all those plays. So this is the first time I'm back here since I was in high school doing a play.
Welcome.
We got to know Becca's character Mary a little bit in the last segment. Tell us what you think your relationship with Charlie is with Mary. Tell me about that relationship.
Yeah, so Charlie is the lyricist to Frank Shepard, the composer, and Mary's not really a collaborator in in that sense. I mean, on a musical, there's you've got the composer and the lyricist working together. Mary doesn't write the book. She doesn't choreograph, as far as we know. She doesn't direct, but she's instrumental in the trifecta, really.
Yeah.
And I think Charlie's relationship to Mary is really interesting because I think they remain close from the beginning to the end, or the end to the beginning, however you want to think about the play moving backwards. And it's not a romantic relationship. It's not a sexual relationship, as far as we know. And I think that has to do, with some of its staying power and why it's able to last for hopefully forever.
Is that an accurate character description and relationship from your? I always love to hear from actor to actor. How do you feel about Charlie? How does Mary feel about Charlie? And does she perceive the situation the same way that Charlie does?
Oh yeah, Mary loves Charlie. Frank and Charlie are the two halves of her heart. And I think Dylan said it well. It's that there's all sorts of different loves in the show. You have Frank is experiencing romantic love. There's parental love. He has a child. And there is friendship love. And so you have this duality of seeing friendships dissolve and seeing one of the friendships last a pretty long time. I don't know if it lasts the whole time, like past the end of the play kind of thing. I've also really enjoyed that. I feel like Mary and Charlie have connected over the years of watching their friend Frank make these choices. They're just like the two of them on the side, just like, boy, what are you doing? What are you doing now?
And they're still united in their love for this really imperfect person.
Yeah,
Frank.
they really believe in him. They are there to help. They're trying to get Frank to be his best self, or at least what they think is his best self.
Yeah. That's clear to me as a seeing it the first time. They're rooting for him, trying to be a champion for him, both professionally, which takes its own life, but also personally, and that's where the drama seems to happen over time.
I also think he's probably, and I don't know that the characters probably don't understand this, but as someone maybe watching the play, I think he's sucking a lot of energy from them. And I think through the years, there's three people in this relationship, but I think he's taking a lot of wind out of their sails.
That seems, yeah.
And I don't know that they're able to necessarily see that because we love him.
Yeah.
And I think we're blinded by some of that affection we feel for him through the years.
Yeah, they're in too deep for sure.
I think they're probably in too deep. And this is a common dynamic, I think, in friendship.
Yeah.
I think the idea that they are so infatuated with him. I resonate with that.
I got that. Yeah.
With it being a musical, tell me about what you think about that, Becca. You have some strong feelings about what is this show because of what folks normally think of when I think of musicals.
I do. I feel like often you hear the word musical and you think of something fluffy and fun and with a big tap number. And there are musicals that have that, and I love them. And then you think of the word play, and some people think of Shakespeare. Some people think of, of whatever, something intense and complicated and riveting. And so in that sense, this is really a play with music because it is so tight. There's so much to dig into for like an actor and for the audience. It's not just talk, dance number, talk, dance number, fancy lights. It's a really complex story.
That's my experience, definitely. Yeah, I've seen a number of musicals, but this is right down the seams of that. Yeah.
Well, Vic, I want to thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
I know you'll need to run. You've got other things you need to get to, but we're going to bring back our friend Reese Franklin and have a Franklin Charlie conversation in our next segment. For folks who are getting interested, and we assume you are, in wanting to go see this play, you can go to the website lattida.org. That's LATTEDA, kind of like a latte, latteda.org. And go get a ticket. Go see the show.
Merrily We Roll Along is the name.
And
just
we'll
in case
roll
you're
along right
just
into the
checking in.
commercials. And we'll be right back.
Would you let animals pick your insurance? Do you really need to experience mayhem to get the best rates? Or how about a celebrity quarterback or fake university saving you money? There's a lot of marketing stunts when it comes to insurance, but what you really need is someone looking out for you. Call Array Insurance, and they will work hard to find you the best insurance coverage and rates. So avoid gimmicks and call Cheryl at Array, 763-504-3067 or arrayinsurance.com. Array Insurance, working hard for you.
The NLS Braille and Audio Reading Download, or BARD, web-based service, and BARD mobile app give patrons the freedom to read their way. Listen to their stories.
BARD is this beautiful web-based program for searching for books and for the ability to download them.
Now, this next step with BARD Mobile has just been a tremendous innovation.
It's a great way to have a book with you without carrying a book.
Wherever I go, BARD Mobile, the library services is with me.
When you discover you have an impairment, it can change your life. So take a little time to find the resources that are going to help you restore what you've lost.
For more information about the National Library Service for the Blind and Physically Handicapped Library of Congress, visit loc.gov/thatallmayread or call 1-888-NLS-READ.
Hey, it's Patrick. Football season is building up, and so is the nastiness in your carpets and air ducts. It's time to call Zero Res and beat the holiday rush. Every surface Zero Res does is specifically designed to preserve and maximize the life of your investments in your home. But also ask yourself before you turn on your furnace, do you know how much built-up dirt, dander, and other allergens are hiding in your air duct system? With Zero Res this month, the more you buy, the more you save. Get 3 rooms of carpet clean starting at just $129 or 5 rooms starting at $199. That's a 43% savings. Book now to get the best carpet cleaning deal of the season. And don't forget about your air ducts. Help your furnace perform its best this winter by removing all the nasty dirt, dander, and harmful debris from your HVAC system. Plus, Zero Res will give you $75 off any air duct cleaning package. Call 952-ZERO-RES or visit ZeroResMinnesota.com to schedule your appointment today.
Seward Co-op is now offering convenient self-serve and prepackaged hot options and salad bars at both the Franklin and Friendship stores. Breakfast items available daily until 11 a.m. and brunch served all day every Sunday. Their weekly lunch and dinner menus highlight cuisines from around the world. They offer vegan, vegetarian, and gluten-free options daily. 95% of the ingredients used are organic from small-scale, local community food producers whenever possible. More at seward.coop.
We are back, and we are looking at a pretty lopsided matchup, Jim.
That's right, Ron. I mean, in one corner, we've got a 175-pound guy, and in the other, a 6,000-ton heavyweight train.
Jim, this guy has no idea what he's getting himself into.
It's no contest. Every day, people tempt fate and die trespassing on railroad tracks. See tracks, think train.
You're listening to AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
Back to Connections Radio Show, where we talk about ideas that matter. And today we've been having a wonderful conversation with actors who are joining us from the Theater Latida's production of Merrily We Roll Along. Hosting with me is Rick Bernardo, who went to the show, which we'll love to hear his ideas. He's been sharing his ideas of what he felt about the show. The show takes place September 21st. So opening was wonderful, I hear.
That happened.
And it'll go through October 30th. If you do not know about Merrily We Roll Along, it is a Stephen Sondheim musical He did the music and lyrics. The book is by George Firth, orchestrations by Jonathan Tunick, directed by Peter Rothstein, and music direction by Jason Hansen. And if you are so intrigued and you have been listening and you go, oh, but I want to go buy the ticket to the show right now, please do, because tickets are going fast. And it's best to go ahead and get that as soon as you can. It's latida.org. I'm going to spell that for you, LATTEDA.org. And our friend Rick Bernardo.
Oh, that's me.
That's you. Saw the show. Tell me about the show.
I was there with my friend Jess, and we just loved it. It's dramatic, and the musical part of it, as Becca, who played Mary, was just saying before, it's not just all song and dance in the sense of some musicals are just like one way to get from one song and dance to the other, but in this, the performances, and there's a major one by Dylan Frederick, who plays Charlie in the very beginning of the production, that is it's quite remarkable. As an example of, it really has major substance to it. It's he's singing, and he's, I don't know, you're doing like 4 or 5 different kind of performance arts at once in that moment, and yet every word moves the story for the rest of the production. So
And in this segment, I want to make sure the audience knows we have Dylan Frederick, who plays the role of Charlie. And we have Reese Britt, who plays the part of Franklin.
Reese Britt, yeah. And so, Dylan, anyway, I was just saying, like, that I just wanted to ask you anything about that one introduction to your character in the beginning.
Look, this is an actor's musical, I would say. And I would say all of the Sondheim musicals, if people listening know, Sweeney Todd, Into the Woods, Sunday in the Park with George. These are pieces that actors like myself and like Reese, like, we want to do these so badly. And there's a lot of other musicals that we want to do less badly, that we can also do, that are in the canon. Some are sillier, and maybe goofier, maybe flashier. There's a veneer required for the performance. But what Sondheim does is he makes complicated, smart, nuanced material, and it's simple, truthful stuff for actors. So that song's a good example, Franklin Shepherd Inc. Reese has some incredible opportunities to act and sing at the same time here too, and that just often isn't afforded to a musical like I don't know, Escape to Margaritaville, the Jimmy Buffett musical, or All Shook Up, the Elvis jukebox musical, or something like that. The Sondheim musicals are gifts for actors, and Peter Rothstein has assembled a group of actors. Like, Reese is really an actor, and a really good one. Becca Hart too. So we're honored to be doing it.
Awesome. Yeah. Thank you. That first scene where you are appearing as Charlie, that's in the 70s?
Yes.
And I remember there was a year 73 that showed up. Oh, was it that year? Oh, I can't, because there was a news item that resonated definitely with everybody. So there's certain news items during this production that everybody will recognize as part of history if they know a little bit of history. And if they don't, it's a history lesson.
And it's important because the play moves backwards, that those exist even just practically as a device to help people understand that we're moving backwards. This is Nixon, this is Kennedy, and that matters a lot, because the device of moving backwards, I honestly think can be confusing. So we also have subtitles. The year is always present on the back wall.
Yeah, on the back wall.
And I think that is very helpful.
Got it. And Reese, how did you work with that, going backwards in time? You are a different person. Both of you are different people in the beginning and the end, which is actually the end and the beginning. So, Reese, how did you work a little bit with that?
Yeah, so we actually, Peter Rothstein, our amazing director, had the idea right away to start rehearsals starting at the end of the play. So when we are at our youngest selves as our characters, and then move through time in the actual chronological order, so that we can find those moments of growth in our characters and growing up with the characters, in a sense, so that by the time we got to our the last scene that we rehearsed in the rehearsal room, which is the first scene of the play, we already knew exactly where these characters started and how they got to this moment. So once we flipped it and actually did the show in the actual order that it is, it was different. It was difficult.
That was the only time in my life I've ever rehearsed a play backwards, and you too, probably, right, Reese? Yes, and that was really crazy to do.
Yeah, it was hard because it felt like we were like, okay, we just got done with this scene. We know where we're going, but we have to. We can't know where we're going in a sense. Our characters don't know what's going to happen next in their life, so we have to just keep chipping away at all the scenes that we just did.
Yeah, got it. It's a remarkable device.
What I'm kind of interested in is finding out from our friend Dylan.
Yes.
How you got persuaded to come back and do this show. I heard there's a great story about that persuasion effort.
Yeah, I haven't been living here. I've been living in other places and doing plays other places, but I've been wanting to do a play in Minneapolis since I left. And it just hasn't really been able. I haven't been able to make it happen, and there just hasn't been the exact right thing. But this is a play I really wanted to do, and so the idea that I was persuaded is sort of comical because I rearranged my entire life and my whole schedule around doing this. And when Peter called me to say that they were going to do Merrily We Roll Along, and that he would let me play Charlie, and that Reese was going to play Frank, and that Becca was going to play Mary, I just made sure that I was going to do that because Merrily We Roll Along does not often get produced, and I would say even more than that, it just doesn't. It's just so often it's bad. It gets done all over the place. It's been done in many countries, in many states in this country, and it's just you can give it a Google, you can see it's bad. And this production is special.
Really bad.
Yeah, it's really bad. It's really bad. And people try again and again, and everyone who loves Sondheim really appreciates that people try again and again to make it work. And sometimes things work, and sometimes things don't. I think the thing that's special about our production is that it works.
Yeah.
And I think that's largely
Go figure.
I think that's largely due to Peter and his brilliance and the design and the performances, Jason's orchestrations on the music. So it was an honor to come back and do it.
You talk about Sondheim
Yes.
as being an actor's
Absolutely.
musical, and he's done a lot of work, and there's a theme that goes throughout on capitalism and commentary on
I'd say
that.
so.
So tell me about that.
I'd say there are these two books he's got of his collected lyrics, and one is blue and one is pink. And if you go to someone's house who loves musical theater, I wonder if Reese, do you have these books on your coffee table?
Not yet.
I think these books are really a treasure for anyone who loves Sondheim. Finishing the Hat. Look, I made a hat. And I think if you go through the lyrics, Sweeney Todd, Sunday in the Park with George, Assassins, you see that there is a thread here. And it's sort of a core belief that money and fame and attention and cars and houses and all of the things that distract us in life are exactly that, distractions.
Things.
Yes, and that they maybe don't matter. And that there's something else that matters. And he spends a lot of time in these musicals grasping for what it might be that matters more than what we think matters. And in this musical, Merrily We Roll Along, I think he's suggesting that friends are what matter. Friends, making old friends. And that somehow those things, that matters more than all of those things that distract us. But that there's a conflict there, that it's just hard to see. So I guess I think that's a critique of capitalism. And I think about Sweeney Todd, if people know that's about a man and a woman who get together to chop up an entire community so she can pay off her debts and, bake people into pies and sell them. So I think, and Assassins too. I mean, you can go through all the text and see that there's something about this country and the way the marketplace has affected all of us.
I sometimes
Merrily We Roll Along again. Yeah, just to plug it.
Right. Well, it also supports sort of a social media created reality. and that we think those things are important. And is that really friendship?
Yes, there's a really good essay by Tennessee Williams. After he wrote The Glass Menagerie, he was very successful. That was a big moment for him as a playwright. And he wrote an essay called The Catastrophe of Success. And I think this is largely also a critique of capitalism. And it reminds me a lot of Merrily We Roll Along and Frank's journey in Merrily We Roll Along. He's sitting in a hotel room. He's having all his food brought to him. And he's sort of thinking back to who he was and who he is now and how miserable he is, even though he's had this great play, Glass Menagerie. It's such a success. And he says, the public self that I've created is a fiction built with mirrors. And the only thing that matters really is the person who I was from my very first breath. And I've forgotten that person. So it's
very clear in this production.
And there's a reminder of what is important, friendships and choices. So the show is called Merrily We Roll Along, as our friend Rick reminds us. And it's at Theater La-Ti-Da. I want to give you the website. It's latida.org, LATTE.DA.
Just a DA.
No, excuse me. I'll do that one more time. LATTE, like latte, LATTEDA.org.
Can I get a latte?
Yes, you may. And we will be right back after some commercials and talking more about how wonderful this show is.
The Merity family of companies serves seniors and people with a wide range of disabilities. We provide home health care, hospice services, and accessible rental housing. This is Mary T, and we'd like you to join us. We're hiring direct care professionals, CNAs, nurses, and other support services. Our mission is to provide quality, personalized services to meet the unique and evolving needs of the people that we serve. Join a Minnesota family-owned company that was founded on a history of care. Apply today at marytinc.com/careers.
I'm Candy Brothel, publisher of the Twin Cities edition of Natural Awakenings magazine and host of Green Tea Conversations, a new show for people who are on a journey to take responsibility for their health and play a more active role in their family's well-being. Join me every Sunday at 10 a.m. as I interview local experts who share the latest in natural holistic approaches in a fun and informative way. So grab a cup of tea and join the conversation as we awaken to natural health. Visit us at naturaltwincities.com.
Next Chapter Booksellers has lots of new books in stock just in time for fall. And while we're sad to see summer go, the colder weather does make better reading weather. So stop by the store off Snelling and Grand in St. Paul. Browse the shelves, or if you're not sure what to get, ask a friendly bookseller. We're great at making recommendations no matter your taste. Next Chapter Booksellers also has a wide variety of puzzles, games, and even some early holiday shopping gift ideas. That's the independently owned Next Chapter Booksellers in St. Paul.
Hey, it's Brett here to tell you that AM 950 Movie Night is back. On Wednesday, October 12th at Crooner Supper Club, we'll be showing Greg Palast's new film, Vigilante, Georgia's vote suppression hitman.
Law enforcement is going to their houses and places of employment and making people afraid to go out and exercise their rights.
In the film, Palast will demonstrate shocking details of Georgia's new vote suppression law.
So you didn't call him, but you challenged his right to vote or have his ballot challenged.
Sir, get out of my house.
Okay, I will get out of your house.
Now.
And how the law has disproportionately affected people of color, young, and lower-income voters.
They raided a voter registration office and tried to send all of these college kids to jail.
AM 950's evening host Rick Smith will be in town to host a panel discussion about voter suppression after the movie. Again, that's AM 950 Movie Night on Wednesday, October 12th at 6:30 at Crooner's Supper Club. Come early and get a delicious dinner from Crooners and meet Rick Smith and other AM 950 staff. The movie is free to attend, but we do require registration ahead of time at am950radio.com.
This is Greg Bakken from Ghostbox Radio. Join me Wednesday, October 5th at 6:30 p.m. with Char Savoy for the next get-together of Ghost Stories and Beyond at Billy's Bar and Grill in Anoka. This month, Char shares her experience of her first-time visit to the infamous Villisca Axe murder house. It was terrifying. We're going to play a lot of evidence from that night. It's $10 a ticket to join in. We'll see you October 5th at 6:30 p.m. at Billy's in Anoka.
Welcome back to Connections Radio Show, where we talk about lots of fun things. Today it's been friendship. and choices made, choices not made, a little bit of narcissism thrown in there just, for the heck of it, to explore what that all could mean. And we've had wonderful actors share with us about their experience in doing the show. We have Rick, who's also hosting the show, who is sharing from his heart as well in terms of being an audience member. And what was that like for him? And what did he learn? And all of that good stuff. And our actors that are in the last segment with us, one plays the role of Charlie. And that is our friend Dylan Frederick. And the other plays the role of Franklin. And that is our friend Reese Britz. Both hail from the Twin Cities.
Yes.
And got trained here and love it here and love you being here and you coming back here. Our friend Dylan coming back. It's been a great experience. You were singing to me earlier during the break. Do you want to break into song just for the heck of it here on our last segment?
We absolutely do.
Oh, good. Which one? And I love Reese's face. Oh, sure we do.
Yes, we do. Yeah.
Which part would you like to break
There's so
into?
many great iconic songs in this musical. At the end of the play, we sing a song called "Our Time." The play moves backwards in time, so we start with a friendship between three people that's frayed, and then at the beginning of the play, you move all the way back in the 2 hours to the idealistic beginnings when they're up on the rooftop looking at Sputnik in the sky in the 50s.
It was in the sky,
and they're singing a song called "Our Time." We could sing.
Something is stirring, shifting ground. It's just begun. Edges are blurring all around, and yesterday is done. Feel the flow, hear what's happening, we're what's happening. Don't you know we're the movers and we're the shapers. We're the names in tomorrow's papers. Up to us, pal, to show 'em.
Oh, I love singing that with you, Reese. I love singing with Reese every night.
I love
He
it.
has really a tremendous voice, and to look into his eyes every night and sing that song is intoxicating. And it's a great way to end the night because the play starts in this way where everything is so frayed, and I'm yelling at him largely in my first song. So then to look at him at the end on the rooftop with the star, we sing the song. It's really a sweet ending, sweet way to go home.
That was awesome.
Tell me how you felt about when you saw that on stage.
Well, this recreation, it just takes me back, pun intended, in so many ways, and I just loved it. I would say, for instance, what I got out of it, and I'm gonna keep getting out of the performance because I'm gonna carry it with me for a while, is the sense of possibility and what happens to that in life. It can unravel. It can grow, and there's a lot of both of this in the whole production. And there's so many lessons for any of us to resonate with the difference between personal and professional growth, and how do we navigate that? And everybody, the three characters, Mary and Frank and Charlie, are really trying to navigate that ocean, basically, and in almost drowning in different ways at times, and otherwise just swimming beautiful strokes other times. Yeah.
So you're going to tell a friend to go see the show. What are you going to tell him?
I'm going to tell him you probably haven't seen anything like this, number one. This is a live production, which cannot be replaced by any other medium.
Thank you.
As well. And you will learn a lot about life and yourself no matter what happens.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you're telling friends and family, Reese Britz, who plays the role of Franklin. What are you telling them?
Well, I tell them exactly that. That it is a difficult show to understand at first, but once you get all those little moments, you will find yourself in all the characters. I tell them that it's a show about the human condition and about how what is the price of fame and how you can lose your dreams over time. or your dreams can shift or rearrange over time, but is it actually what you wanted? Like, how did you get to be here? And so I think what I tell people is that you will be able to see yourself at one point in each of these characters, and it's going to fill you with hope. It might fill you with a little bit of existential dread, just a little bit, but it is absolutely worth it.
All right. And Dylan, what would you say?
I think, look, for a musical that tackles such tragic and frankly sometimes hopeless ideas about this life, it matters very much that the people who are doing it approach the work with a sense of pride and really pleasure and enjoyment. And when Stephen Sondheim wrote this piece, it did not do well on Broadway, but he said that making it was the most exciting time of his entire life. And so I have tried to, along with Reese and Becca, really embody that spirit and approach every day of this work like it is the most exciting thing I've ever done. And so in many ways, it has become that. And it matters very much to me that people see that on stage we are having a hell of a good time. And I think in that way, it's contagious. The pleasure is palpable. We are enjoying ourselves. And that honestly, it doesn't always happen in the theater. And the contagious quality of that, I think, should make anybody want to rush to Theater La Te Da and see Merrily We Roll Along.
What would you like the audience to take away with them? You know, you shared about what's important, what you think the play is, what you've encouraged them to think about what they might take away. But as actors, you kind of have a hope that they're going to walk away and not only think that you were wonderful performers, which of course you are.
Yeah.
But what else? What is it?
Well, I think that there's an investigation in the piece, like we've talked about, that has to do with friendship and why relationships matter and why there are other things that distract us from those relationships. And there's this sounds out of left field, but there's a Simon and Garfunkel album called Bookends.
Mm-hmm.
And there's an investigation on that album as well that I find to be eerily similar to the investigation Merrily We Roll Along. There's a song called Old Friends on that album. There's a song called Old Friends and Merrily We Roll Along. There's a song called Faking It, about fake, I don't know, am I faking, am I making it? That's really part of Frank's investigation. So I think this kind of like tried and true obsessive search that we all have to figure out like what matters, and is it the silly artificial stuff, or does it have to do with something to do with each other? I hope people like re-engage with that investigation in a way that is authentic and hopefully rejuvenating.
Mm-hmm. What do you think?
There are a lot of questions in the show. Every transition, there's a song called Merrily We Roll Along. And it's phrased differently and use different lyrics in every single transition. But a lot of them are like, how did you get to be here? What was the moment that led you to here? And also, some roads are soft and some are bumpy. Some roads really fly. It's a conversation about life and how we should be questioning, like, are we happy with where we are? Did we lose sight of our dreams along the way?
Yes.
What really matters to us, like Dylan was saying. And I think if people take that introspective look after seeing this, then we've done our job right.
That was Reese Britz, and we had, and still have Dylan Frederick with us, and we had Becca Hart with us for three main characters. Merrily We Roll Along.
And we have just a few more seconds that you can share. What did you take away, Rick Bernardo?
What did I take away? I thought I was going over that before.
Well, we've got 20 seconds now.
Okay. Again, lessons for professional and personal growth, and the word possibility keeps springing to mind. What happens to possibilities?
And you've been listening to Connections Radio Show here on AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
No matter if you're eating out or cooking something at home, EatLocalMinnesota.com has you covered with a list of locally owned restaurants and food purveyors. Locally owned Vinaigrette has been offering the finest olive oil and vinegar since 2009. Reintroduce yourself to all the many flavors by tasting before you buy. From darker white balsamic to cold-pressed extra virgin olive oil from all over the world, there is something for everyone. Vinaigrette, located at 50th and Xerxes in Minneapolis, or at vinaigrettemn.com. The Park Tavern is your go-to destination for fun. Enjoy the fantastic food like their pizzas, burgers, and sandwiches, the best bowling in Minnesota, their wildly popular outdoor patio, great drink specials, all the big games on their numerous screens, and it's the perfect place for your next private event, even large gatherings for over 200. The Park Tavern is your go-to destination for everyone. Have fun at the Park Tavern, Louisiana Avenue, north of Highway 7 in St. Louis Park.
Hey, Minnesota, it's Brad Friedman, host of the Bradcast. You're listening to AM 950 KTNF, St. Louis Park, Minneapolis, St. Paul, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
I'm Rick Smith, and this is Labor History in 2. On this day in labor history, the year was 1904. A woman was arrested for smoking a cigarette in a car on Fifth Avenue in New York City. While women in the United States are no longer likely to be arrested for smoking cigarettes in public, they continue to face unequal treatment in the labor force. When women started working in factories in the mid-1800s, most notably textile mills, owners paid them far less than men for similar labor. In fact, it was because they saw women as a cheap labor pool that many textile factory owners favored female workers. Today, a woman will earn about 80 cents for every dollar a man earns. Even though women have increased their presence in higher paying jobs traditionally dominated by men, women as a whole continue to work in low paying occupations. Women are about twice as likely as men to say that they've been discriminated against at work because of their gender. In January of 2009, President Barack Obama signed into law the Lilly Ledbetter Fair Pay Act. It was named after a woman who fought for 10 years against gender pay discrimination at the Goodyear Tire and Rubber Company. She was awarded a $3 million jury settlement, but that ruling was later overturned by the U.S. Supreme Court. The 2009 Act strengthened women's ability to seek legal recourse over pay discrimination. Still, today, the rate of women's compensation lags behind that of men. Labor unions must continue to play a role in fighting against pay inequity.
This union maid was wise to the tricks of the company spies. She'd never be fooled by a company stew. She'd always organize the guys. She'd always get her way. When she asked for better pay, she'd show her.
Like what you hear? Check out more at laborhistoryint.com.
Oh, you can't scare me. I'm sticking to the union.
All right, everybody in the car, let's go.
What are we going to do first when we get there, Mom? Go for a